true story. Maybe it's 1989, 1990, and I'm trying a racketeering case in front of Howard Munson, the great Howard Munson, and this was an all-star lineup. I mean, it was myself and Emil Rossi, Tony LaFosse, Joe Fahey, and David Lenevsky from New York City, and this was a racketeering case, and this was the real deal. This was a real RICO. I was murder, bombing, extortion, stolen property, 51 racketeering acts. It went on forever. So my client is Jack Zogby, and he's known as Turk, which if you got to go to trial in a RICO case, you don't want a client whose nickname is Turk, and he's named Turk in the indictment. So Turk at the time was maybe 66 years old, 65 years old. He's working on his 7th felony. He was convicted of being a hitman in a mob hit in 1976, something like that. It was when they wiped out Al Marone. That's a whole different story. But anyway, Turk was a get-along guy. He was a good client, and the trial was going on forever. And Turk and the co-defendants were Jack Menkin, a fearsome, ferocious guy, Tony and Sarah, he was David Lenevsky's client, Benny Carcone, and his son Russell. So we're sitting in the courtroom, and it's a long L, and that Turk and I are at the short end of the L, and that comes lunchtime. Turk and Menkin and Sarah, they were locked up. They were denied bail. So they had to go down in the blocks, and we go out. And I always felt bad about leaving Turk. It was a beautiful spring. So that it's maybe the middle of June, and we stand out, we go outside the Federal Building. And, I mean, it's just a spectacular day, an azure blue sky, and the sun is brilliant. And it's just great to be out. And we get to the corner, it's all of us, all the lawyers, and stopped at the light is Stan Colella, behind the wheel of a brand spanking new white convertible. And Stan was just a great guy. He was a musician, and he taught students in the area, and he had a teen band. Everybody knew Stan, and Stan was just a great guy. And Stan was a Colella, and Emil was a Colella, and Stan was Emil's cousin. So we're standing on the corner, and everybody's going, "Ooh, Stan, what a car!" And he's just busting his buttons. He just drove this car off the showroom floor. So he's showing it off for a couple of seconds there, and Emil and Stan start chatting because they're cousins, and we got to get to lunch. And we're standing there waiting for Emil, and I having nothing else to do. I need to make a smart remark, so I turn to Joe Fahey, who's standing next to me, and I say to him, "Hey, Joe," I said, "Turk told me that if I walk him, he's going to get me one of these." So Joe laughs, I laugh, and we go to lunch. Well, we come back, and whatever the testimony was that afternoon, it really didn't concern me and Turk. I mean, whatever it was, it just didn't hold our interest. We weren't involved in it. So just to pass the time, I lean over, and I'm telling Turk the lunchtime story about Stan Colella and his new car. And Turk looks at me, and he says, "Yeah? Where's this guy live?" So, it was a great line, and I crack up, and probably I told that story for weeks after the trial. They all got convicted, and it was a foregone conclusion, but I thought it was a great story, and so maybe about 6-7 months later, I'm down at the Y. And I go into the steam room, and there's a bunch of guys, and they're sitting there balls naked, all right? And I take my place on the bench, and in walks Stan Colella. "Hey, Stan, how you doing?" Blah, 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 blah. "Yeah, Eddie, yeah, good." So, you know, I'm in a steam room. It's like a tiled room, and it's a small room, and I got a loud voice. I know that. So, so since Stan is there, I tell him the story. And of course, the other three naked guys sitting in the steam room hear every word of the story. Well, I get to the I get to the punchline. Yeah, where's this guy live? And the other guys in the steam room like roar, and Stan turns white as a sheet. And I say to him, Stan, don't worry about it. Turk got 7 years. He's not going to bother you. By the time he gets out, you'll have a new car. Stan never got over it, True story.